Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Patrick. Thank you for all the likes, comments, subscribing. I really appreciate it. Last I looked, we're 40 subscribers away from 2,000. You guys are awesome. Let's keep growing this channel and let's get this video out to as many people as we can. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. So as usual, I was already working on something else and I got pulled away from that and I was kind of pushed to look at this, and what this is the two solar eclipses. One was on August 21st, 2017. My wife, my mom, and my little brother actually went to that one at Buckeye Lake in Ohio. We sat out on a dock over the lake as totality happened, which was really awesome. So we got to see that. Well, we also had the Revelation sign from chapter 12 that happened that year. So I got that here. And then we have the one that solar eclipse that's happening on April 8th of 2024. And I started looking at this and I'm like, well, obviously there's roughly 7 years between this. And I was like, and I said, and if you haven't watched that video, I said the Revelation 12 sign, there was one in 3915 BC, and then there was one, obviously, that happened in 2017. There was 6-7 year warning. And I explained that, so if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch that. But I wanted to look at this with kind of that mindset and keeping that in mind. Now, before getting into this, I hope you guys really enjoyed my salvation story. It was from the heart. I'm sorry that there was a little bit of wind in part of the video. I can't help it, guys. I'm outdoors. I can't control nature. But I thought that overall the video was great. I hope you guys took a lot out of it. And I'm glad that I was finally able to get that story out. But I didn't make the connection from the coin into why I decided to do the video yesterday instead of doing this. So we were in church and we did the Bible study in the morning, and then we had morning service. The morning service was about heaven, the rapture, and John 14. Well, on the back of that coin, I read it to you. It's John 14. I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. So I was like, wow. So I'm going to do a story about my salvation and this coin that led me to Jesus. And on the back of the coin was the exact sermon that we just did in church that same day. So I thought that was awesome. That's definitely the work of the Holy Spirit. And if you get signs like that, you better do the salvation story if that's what you were planning on, especially if the sermon goes right with exactly what the coin said. So wanted to get that out there. Sorry I didn't include that in the video. I go off script most of the time, so I forget things. But let's get into this. So we have these three signs, two solar eclipses, and then we have the Revelation 12 sign. If you don't know what that is, there's stuff all over YouTube. There's stuff all over the internet. You can actually read it, Revelation chapter 12. But the moon was at Virgo's feet. Jupiter was in her belly or her womb for 9 months. The sun was at her head, and then you have 12 stars around her head. Well, 3 of them was planets. You had Mercury, Mars, and Venus, all right? And then you had 9 up here, so that equaled the 12. And that was the Revelation 12 sign. But I started looking at this in a different way. I was like, I wonder what the date or the days are from this to this. And then we'll do from here to here, and then we'll do one from all the way up here, going all the way down to this date. Like, I wonder if we can make any connections. I mean, it's obvious. There's a 7 year thing here, and there's a 7 year time frame here. I'm like, that's got to be something. So I started looking at it. Well, from 8/21/27 to 9/23/2017 is 792 hours. Or 33 days. So that's from the first solar eclipse into the Revelation 12 sign is 792 hours or 33 days. I said, okay. So let's look at 9/23/27 going to the next solar eclipse in 4/8/2024. going to write this out real quick and then I'll explain it. All right. So going from the Revelation 12 sign on 9/23/17, going to the next solar eclipse, there's 2,390 days, or 6 years, 6 months, 17 days. All right, that's going to be important. Now, let's look at the totality of all three signs from the first sign until the last sign. All right, so let's get the time frame on that. And we'll put that over here. I'm trying to break it up so everything doesn't get bunched up together here. So it's 2 days, and then there's 6 years, 7 months, and 19 days. All right. So from 8/21/2017, that was our first solar eclipse, going 7 years later, roughly, till April 8th, 2024, you have 2,423 days, or 6 years, 7 months, 19 days, okay? Well, I was looking at this, and I was like, okay, we got some numbers here. The 33 was really interesting right off the bat. The 6 years, or 6 months, 17 days was very interesting, and I'll make that connection here in a little bit. And then we also had 6 years, 7 months, 19 days from the first sign going to our last sign, our last solar eclipse in 2024. Well, obviously, doing some math, I see this date, or this number, and this number. So I said, I wonder what the difference is. So if you take 24/23 minus 23/90, guess what you get? 33. So wait a minute. So we have 33 days here from the first sign into this Revelation 12 sign, and then we also have 33 days difference if you take the days from the first sign to the last sign minus the Revelation 12 sign to the next solar eclipse in 2024, you get 33. Well, why is that significant? Well, 11 is the number of God's judgment, right? So if we got 11. And I've done multiple videos on this about cubing or the equilateral numbers, right? God loves perfect equilateral numbers. So he always uses numbers like that. So if you do 11 times 3, or 11 cubed, what do you get? You get 33. So to me, this is equaling judgment. Judgment times judgment times judgment. Like it's a perfect judgment, which to me means it's the final judgment of Revelation. Okay, so we have 33 here, and then like we get the explanation point. We get 33 down here. Well, what's the connection from the 6 years, 6 months, and 17 days? Well, if you look at Noah, let's go back to Genesis chapter 7, verse 10 first. And it said, and it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. So as I read it, I was like, well, what if it meant 7 years? Then it came to pass after 7 years that the waters of the flood were on the earth. So I told you the Revelation 12 sign is a 6-7 year warning, where the signs really start coming in the 6th year, but then it culminates in the 7th year. So it would be in 2023 would be like things are really building up, but it wouldn't, finally, the tribulation wouldn't happen until 2024, because that would be the 7 years. So I said, okay, so this is kind of right in line with Genesis. I said, what else can we get from Genesis? Well, in chapter 7, verse 11 of Genesis, it said Noah was 600 years in 17 days when the flood waters came on the earth. Well, 6 years, 17 days, or you can look at it 6 months, 17 days. So it's almost, not quite, but it's almost like it's using the exact same numbers before the flood happened in Genesis, that we're getting the exact same 6, so the 600, we're getting 6 years, but we are getting the 17 days, just like in the book of Genesis, right as the floodwaters came onto the earth. So we have 11 cubed for judgment, right? This is like the final judgment. This is like judgment, judgment, judgment. All right, that would almost be like the triple sevens. Well, what about 792? Well, if you get 792, sorry if my board's getting a little messy here, it's a lot. And I divide it by 3, like we always do, 2 times, you get 88. Well, why is 88 important? 8's the number of new beginning. So it's like doubling down. This is going to be the new beginning, new beginning. So this could be the last 7 years, and the new beginning is going to be the millennium, right? So judgment's finally going to be over after this, and then we get the new beginning. Well, why is this important? Well, if this is starting the last 7 years, then we have at least, this is the theory, we have a timeline for the last date possible that the rapture could be, right? So if this starts, the judgment, the final judgment in the book of Revelation, the church and the believers are not going to be here on this earth. So we can prove that this is the final date before the judgment, the last 7 years, Jacob's trouble. Then we know the rapture has to happen anytime before this date going back. Now, I took 9/23 of this year. So I took 9/23 of this year going to this date. And I wondered what the difference was. And once again, just to double down, it was 6 months and 17 days. Sorry, a little hair on my marker here, but you can see it. So I took September 23rd of this year, so just after Feast of Trumpets and just after the 2030 UN 7-year agreement, just after that, until the next solar eclipse on April 8, 2024. Once again, you get 6 months, 17 days. 6 months, 17 days. 33 days from the first solar eclipse to the Revelation 12 sign. Get 33 days if you take the total number of days from these 3 signs, minus the Revelation 12 sign to the next solar eclipse. The difference is 33. So we have 33, 33, and then we get 88, new beginning, like it's doubling down the new beginning. Well, then we also get 6 months, 17 days. The difference of this, you get 6 months, 17 days. Guys, I believe that this could really be something. I think that we might not have the start date of the rapture, but I believe we possibly might have the end date of when it could happen. So if we know that, then we know the season is just getting shorter and shorter every single day. Please let me know what you guys think of this. I thought it was awesome. I already have something else that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. I'm almost done with it. Just kind of working out a couple of the kinks. But please like, comment, subscribe. You guys are awesome. We're almost up to 2,000 subscribers. If you don't see another video from me, I'll see you in heaven.